All right, here we are. We're out in it doing some last of December wheeling. Day after Christmas, 2022. Got a little stir crazy. Had to get out kind of in the woods and check some snow depths and see if 40-inch tires are going to cut it. And I'm going to say barely. I'm pushing snow at the front. And those aren't even sunk all the way down. They're floating decent, but with that tractor lug, it's clawing at the snow pretty good, keeping me going. I'm not flattening it out, so I don't have as good a flotation, but doing pretty good for the ags. The other good thing about the ags is you can always back up. If you start to spin going forward, or you can't push the snow anymore, got all sorts of traction to always back up. Other tires that I've used in the snow have a tendency to go down first before they go back. These ags, they go straight back. They don't sink down first to get that traction. They already have that traction right up top, and they just start going backwards. I was pretty happy. Other than that, midday, we're past the winter solstice, so we're starting to gain some daylight. It's kind of warm out here, probably 30. Last couple days we've had some big winds, and it's been super cold, but the winds kind of stopped up here on the side of the mountain, and it's warmed up a bit. So this is as good as it's going to get for this time of year. Got to get out in it, do some slow crawling. I'm back in here, probably a mile and a half, and it's just inch by inch. Keep the EGT gauge right at about 1,000, and temperature staying a nice 180, and just let that little diesel work, and we're doing all right. But stopped here for a couple seconds, and then I'm gonna continue on. That's definitely diff deep. Diff deep for the 40s. Pretty nice out here. Made it to the nice scenic vista overlooking the valley. Got set up for lunch. Cooked up some chaga tea and warmed up some soup. And then I dumped the soup on accident all over the winch in the front of the rig. It's all over the place. So I lost my soup. That's all right. Got some tasty MRE crackers and some M&Ms. Got a nice view. Got to take the good with the bad. We can work with it. That soup would have been nice though. You see a little depth of the snow. Pretty much, if you're a little rig like this, 40s and below, you're not going anywhere on trails right now. You can get to the glacier maybe with some help, but yeah, you're not going nowhere. Any of the trails that have any sort of hill or haven't had another wheeled rig go down it, a buggy or something, big buggy, to kind of break that trail, you know, that window has shut. There's just too much snow, and this is always crappy snow. It's crusty on top, and then you get just that worthless sugar, you know, absolutely no traction until you dig down to the ground. And this is right at that level where it's just a little bit too deep. As soon as, you know, if you spin your tires or you go charging into it, you're going to high center, and you're just not going to go anywhere. You know, I was pushing snow back there, you know, and just barely creeping. So if you don't have a lot of patience and you just don't enjoy being out in the woods, it's a rough time to get anywhere. But other than that, you can still get out it and play a little bit. It's deep. All right, that was a little snow action. Now for the second part of this video, we're going to talk about winch motor overvolting, basically turbocharging your winch. As you'll see, got two separate videos about ready to show. One is under 12 volt power, winching up the hill, the driveway, at an idle, 5 psi in the ag tires, so there's a little bit of resistance there, and just a nice clean pull up the driveway. And then the second video will be the same conditions, same scenario with overvolting that winch motor 24 volts. Dual motors, or dual batteries, of course, and everything else pretty much standard. Like I said, add an idle, and this just gives a kind of a side-by-side comparison of the difference. You know, the reason to overvolt, it's probably the cheapest and best way to get maximum performance out of the winch, but you got to have the better motors. You got to have the bow motors. You're the 6.8s or the 8 horse motors will handle that 24 volt current going through them. Very efficient, very good setup, and you know, you get both the benefit of the speed and the power. So enjoy that side-by-side comparison, and then the follow-up video of inside the cab. And hope you enjoy it. Hope you get some information. Hope you like the wheeling video part of this, and we'll see you on the trails. Here's the inside shot of the Defender 90 with the turbo power controller box and the switches. I'll give you a rundown real quick. So you're going along, everything's fine. You get stuck, or you come into a situation where you want to use the winch. Everything is running off 12 volts right now. The vehicle's running off 12 volts, lights. Everything is 12 volts. Both batteries are being charged. 12 volt system. As far as we're concerned, you know, we're good. No different than what it was before. So you're going to utilize either your in and out switches here, 12 volt for the winch, or the 12 volt wireless remote. So you get out of the vehicle, use the wireless remote, run your rope out, get your recovery point figured out, get everything hooked up. You can tighten everything with the remote standing at the recovery point, the tree, another vehicle, whatever, so you can kind of see what's going on. Tighten everything up, 12 volt, everything's good, everything looks good. Now's when you have some options. You come back into the vehicle, You know, you can still recover yourself if it's easy recovery outside of the vehicle with the remote, or if you're pulling somebody out of a ditch or something that's easy, it's not going to tax the system a whole lot. You can use the wireless and stand outside, block the tires, chain off to a tree, do something like that, and do that. Now, for a more in-depth winch recovery, say you know it's going to be a harder pull, you got a bigger vehicle, you're stuck really bad, and you want to get back in the vehicle. You know, you have these options. You can still use your remote 12 volt, or you can use your 12 volt switches and run the winch 12 volt, same as you always would, no different. Great. Let's just say, and this is the reason that I have this system. This is why I've went with this recently, to overvolting the 12 volt motor. That's essentially what we're doing. It's a 12 volt winch motor. 12 volt system, everything's hooked up, everything's working good. However, that turbo power control box, with the flip of this switch, converts through that second battery power to the winch that's 24 volt. So you're sending 24 volts through or into that 12 volt winch motor. So you're gaining speed, you're gaining efficiency, you're gaining power. And I'm utilizing the 8 horse winch motor, which again is a little bit slower than the 6.8. Even though it's a higher number, it's a you know, bigger internal, so it takes a little bit more power draw, and it's a little bit slower from what I've found, but they handle the overvolting much better. So flip this on, that engages the system. There's your secondary toggle switch. Boom, you hit that. Put the vehicle in gear. You hit that. That's 24 volts into that winch. You're basically turbocharging that winch, and away you go. And then you can power the vehicle at the same time, give it a little help. You know, we're locked up. We're winching with 24 volts. Gonna pop right out of everything. Winching up hills is gonna be a lot more efficient, a lot more quicker. Just a great overall system. But what is fantastic is you flip this back off, so you're out, shut everything back off. Now you're back to 12 volt to power out. You can only power in with the 24 volt because the 24 volts going through that 12 volt motor, you can damage that motor really quick if it's not under a load. So switch that back off. Now you have, you know, you can hit this 12 volts out, or you know, you can pick up your wireless again, hit 12 volts out, pick up all your rigging, stow everything, and away you go. Very, very cool system. I think I'm really going to enjoy this when I really start working it heavy. So there it is, a little walkthrough of inside on the dash, kind of what the switches do, and a quick overview of how that box is wired up and set up and how everything works. So here's the current winch configuration: single motor, bow 2 plus 8 horse motor, all the rest of the giggle pin housings, super shaft, brakes, all the good giggle pin stuff. So that was like the last final thing to figure out on this rig, was that overvolting winch motor. And now that the wiring is all done, I've tested it a couple times, pretty happy with it. So we are ready to winch. See you guys on the trails.